Just as a little tip, if you're using a knife to level off, remember to use the back side of your knife. Sometimes I'm not thinking and I use this side, and then you don't wind up with a full cup or your full measurement of whatever size you're looking for. Okay, now put some flour in a cup and set that aside. We'll be needing that after for a baking surface. We'll be using 8 teaspoons of baking powder. Now again, that's because I'm doubling my recipe. We're going to put a half a teaspoon of baking soda. We're going to use 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Now, as I said, I will not be doubling this here salt. They call for 3/4 of a teaspoon if you're making a single batch. But I don't like a lot of salt in my things. I have to watch my salt intake, so I always put less salt. Okay, we'll just take a whisk and we'll just get this all stirred together, just so that it's all nicely combined. I think I'm going to change bowls because I'm doubling my recipe. This bowl's not quite big enough. We'll now add the shortening and butter. I always wash my hands before I start working in the kitchen. And then I wash them several times throughout. So I've added 8 tablespoons of butter, 6 tablespoons of shortening. I'll now take my pastry cutter and cut the butter and shortening into the flour mixture. If you don't have a pastry cutter, you can always use 2 knives. This recipe makes anywhere usually from 9 to 12 biscuits for a single batch. It all depends on how thick your dough winds up. If it's all 1/2 inch thick or a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner. It also depends on the size of your cutter. My cutter is about 2.5 inches. And if you don't have a cookie cutter, you can always use a glass. Just dip it into flour so that it doesn't stick to your dough. You may do that several times throughout your cutting process. You just need to do this till it's crumbly, like almost like a coarse cornmeal, or you might see some of the butter or shortening in the size of small peas. That's good. There's no need of making a well in the center of your mixture. You just add your buttermilk and just stir it with a fork or a wooden spoon until everything is blended together, until everything is wet. You don't need to overstir it or anything. That was 2 cups of buttermilk. Sometimes I have to add a little extra. Make sure you get everything off the sides of the bowl and the bottom of the bowl. See how it's all pulled together? All I'm doing now is making sure I get the dry stuff from the bottom. This side for a second, and we're going to put some flour on our baking surface. Don't forget to flour your rolling pin. We're gonna roll this out onto our counter, onto our baking surface. Put a little flour on the spoon to make it easier to get the dough off. we'll add a little flour to the top of our dough. That'll make it less sticky for gathering into a ball. Get this into a nice workable ball. Go. Now we're going to knead it 6 to 8 times. So I just kind of flatten it out and bring the dough and push and push. Turn, move your dough. More flour on your baking surface if needed. Into a nice bowl. There we go. Now, because I'm going to be doubling the recipe, I'm going to break this in half and just work with 1/2 at a time. Now, right now we can roll this out to a 1/2 inch thickness if we chose to, but if you want extra tender biscuits, then what you would do is make this about 5 inches wide and about 9 inches long. And we're going to do this 3 times. So what you're going to do is roll this out to about 9 inches. And then you're going to take it and fold it like an envelope. Like that. And like that. And we're going to do this 3 times. And then you'll wind up with extra flaky biscuits. Alright, now, so again, what you'll be doing, if you want extra tender biscuits, is you roll this out to about 5 inches wide, 9 inches long, fold it like an envelope, turn it, do it again, then repeat it again, so it's 3 times in total, and then you're ready to roll out and start cutting. I've lined my cookie sheet, although you really don't need to line your sheet because there's plenty of butter and shortening in the recipe itself, so it's not going to stick to your cookie sheet. But I just get in the habit of putting these on anyway, and it makes everything very easy for removing and clean up as a snap. Now if you want all tender biscuits, put them just touching. If you want them a little bit crispy, just leave a little tiny gap between them. I like mine a little crispy, so I leave mine with a little gap between them. Now we just take the remainder of our dough, gather it up into another bowl, add more flour, and roll it out. And we continue that until the dough is all cut out. Okay, so we wound up with 20 biscuits. Now, I find they rise a little more evenly if you put a little indentation with your thumb in the center. I'm going to heat my oven to 450 degrees. I'm going to lightly brush the tops of the biscuits with melted butter. Just a light brush like that. Helps to make them golden and to crisp them up. If you have any questions or comments or anything along that line, just go ahead and add it to the comment box below the video. When the oven is ready, the biscuits will be going into the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. Okay, these are done. We're going to move them immediately to our cooling rack. There you go. Here's the bottoms. It's like golden. Whew. Look nice and thick there. Beautiful. Oh, that's hot stuff. All right, let's see if we can open one to show you. Nice, very nice. Okay. Ooh, hot. Okay. So thanks for watching.